Hello and welcome back to Good Soup Games. I'm Graf and today I'm back on my hunter to showcase another Prismatic build, this time in the Crucible. After spending a week in Iron Banner with all the lag problems, this build has been popping off, so when you're getting bagged by laggy players because they can't kill you, you know it's a good build. As always, we'll start off with the build showcase and then we'll get straight into the build itself. Let's take a look.
Let them come. You're ready. Be ravenous. More. Your power wanes. Take it back. Just the start.
The exotic of choice is the Hunter Exotic Cloak class item, Relativism. And if you've been around the channel for a little while, you're going to know what the first perk coming up is. It is, of course, Spirit of Ophidian, giving me 35 handling. I know these class items can be a pain to farm, so if you want to switch out Ophidian for Dragon Shadow, that will give you 100 handling after consuming your dodge charge. But at the centre of this build, the main perk to go for is Spirit of the Liar, which will give us counter punch, which you would have seen in the showcase, that it just allows us to be extremely aggressive with the rest of our setup, allowing us to essentially win 90% of my melee fights. Sometimes there is going to be an occasion where you do lose, but you most of the time will have the upper hand thanks to Spirit of the Liar. Now I'm just going to get my trusty assistant to help demonstrate how we can survive some of the most lethal melee attacks in the game. As you can see, we can easily survive a lightning surge, which is one of the most lethal warlock melee attacks on the Prismatic subclass thus far, and we are also able to survive and counter a Shiver Strike Titan. All you have to do is close the gap, which you can do with a quick dodge forwards and hit them with your counter punch. Fret not, because if you don't have the class item with these perks and you don't mind losing out on handling, you can just use the base form of Liar's Handshakes, which you can either pull from collections or farm for at Howl or in Lost Sectors. It's completely up to you how you get hold of it, but this is a great alternative to the class item should you not have it or should you not want to farm for the class item. I highly recommend trying this build out either way. Now it's time to talk about the subclass. And for this subclass setup, I'm using the most overpowered and broken super in the game currently, and that is, of course, Storm's Edge. You can use any super for this, but my preference at the moment is just to use Storm's Edge because you can use it to close gaps, you can use it for movement, you can use it to take out multiple enemies at one given time, as you're about to see. It's truly one of the most broken supers in the game, and Bungie definitely needs to have a look at how this operates. As for the jump, we're doing something a little different on this build. We're using Blink. Now, Blink is a fantastic movement tool and a way to get around the map and out of danger quickly. It is also great for confusing enemies, jumping behind them so they are slightly disorientated on where you have gone, and while they search for you, you have your shotgun ready to ram down their throats. As for melee, the melee of choice for this build is Combination Blow. Defeating a target with this ability will fully refund our dodge charge while also giving us health back. Pairing this with Gambler's Dodge will allow us to dodge near enemies to fully recharge our melee ability. This is nothing new to PvE players, but in PvP this is surprisingly powerful, especially when you pair it with Liar's Handshake or Spirit of the Liar. This is an absolutely lethal combo. This is definitely going to be an anti-Warlock and anti-Titan build going into next season, considering Titan's getting all of these melee buffs. Swiftly moving on to the grenade, and I know everyone is sick of this grenade, but it is objectively the best one on the Hunter Prismatic subclass at the moment, and that is Swarm Grenades. It will allow us to be aggressive and a bit defensive at the same time, depending on what the situation brings. So I would use that, but I also would consider using the Grapple Melee Grenade for a movement tool, which would pair perfectly with Blink. So if you're looking for a faster movement and more fluid movement, maybe Grapple. Dust-filled grenades, always a great pick. Allowing us to control areas and slow targets, this is definitely one not to be ignored. The final grenade that I would consider for this build is the Chain Lightning Arc Bolt grenade. Again, I would just use this to be super aggressive, but this really only works if there's like multiple people in one area. So not my favourite grenade, but definitely not one to be overlooked if it is your favourite. For the aspect slots, we're using Touch of Winter, and I know, cliche, a hunter using Touch of Winter, rah rah rah, but this is because it goes hand in hand with our Gambler's Dodge, allowing us to use more of our counter punches, giving us an opportunity to use our counter punch with a slight advantage. Essentially, you want them to be baited into punching you, so then you can just quickly punch them back, and then they are completely obliterated. The second aspect slot is where this build gets really fun. We're using Gunpowder Gamble, something that I hardly ever seeing being used in Crucible, but it is surprisingly effective. It's a great way to get an extra grenade for free, and it also allows us to have a great area of effect grenade. I do want to preference that this is currently being paired with the artifact mod Solar Fulmination, meaning the explosions and the ignitions that you are seeing currently in this gameplay aren't going to be as strong once the new season rolls around. But this is still going to be an absolutely fantastic build, and it is going to be my main PvP build for my hunter for the foreseeable future. The weapons are really what elevates this build to the next level. All solar weapons will feed into our Gunpowder Gamble, and also while we're using solar weapons we may as well take advantage of stuff on the solar weapon kit such as Hill Clip, allowing us to get burst healing and to get back into a fight to surprise our enemies, as you'll see in this clip here. I dodge to get into cover, reload, and then I'm able to peek and push again and secure the kill. Over the course of testing this build out, I've used a multitude of solar weapons, but the one I have really landed on that seems to get me the most bang for my buck is Darkest Before. If you're looking to use Darkest Before for yourself, I would recommend running the Hill Clip Kill Clip roll. That will give you the most bang for your buck on this build. It will allow you to quickly heal and get straight into another fight with 25% added damage onto your pulse rifle shots. This has been an absolutely phenomenal kill chaining weapon for me. As you can see through the clips, I've barely taken it off since discovering it. This was something I farmed a long time ago and it was just sat in my vault. My first port of call for this build was actually Luna's Howl, because I love hand cannons so much. And the roll I was using on that, which we'll see in some of the gameplay which I was using in this video, was Hill Clip and Mag Howl. However, mine isn't an absolute god roll with the max range, so I actually changed this out for the Darkest Before and it was just performing much better. Another one that would be great for this build is the Summoner, and the roll I would recommend on the Summoner is Hill Clip with Target Lock, just so that you can push the range out a little bit further with Target Lock. Or if you're looking for a damage perk and you want to switch it up from the regular Kill Clip, I would use Onslaught. I'm sure we're all aware by now that the Heliocentric is one of the best sidearms in the game with the tried and true Hill Clip Kill Clip. This is another weapon that would absolutely dominate with this build, especially because you will be up close and personal. Another good role to look out for if you don't have the heal clip kill clip role is heal clip and precision instrument. In the primary slot I am using everyone's favourite shotgun, the conditional finality. And I know this got a slight nerf a little while ago, but because we're using Ophidian aspects, the handling is 100 all the time anyway. But the main reason I'm using conditional finality is purely because it allows us to have another avenue of solar kills on our weapons. Because we spawn in with one shot in the crucible, that shot is always going to be a solar shot. In the heavy slot, I would suggest using something like the Unwavering Duty. Again, this is just going to allow us to feed into Gunpowder Gamble more often. The great thing about solar is that there are a ton of great primary weapons you can use. Stats are always just recommendations, so if you don't agree with this, you can just prioritise what you feel more comfortable with for your gameplay. For this build, I have prioritised 100 resilience just so that I am extra tanky when running in and out of danger and combat. Following that, I have prioritised recovery, and for my build this is sat at again 100. It just means that in combat or tight situations I can blink away, quickly recover, and this also lends perfectly into heal clip as well. And my final set of 100 is in discipline. This again will just allow me to have those swarm grenades up more frequently, allowing me to be aggressive or defensive should I need to be. After that, I would focus on intellect so you can get your super as often as possible, hopefully more than once in a game. After that, I would prioritise mobility and strength, but because of how we've got the build set up with Gambler's Dodge and Combination Blow, this is a moot point unless you really like high strike speed. For the fragments, for my build, this is all just stat boosting fragments. I will list these in the description, but use whichever fragments you would like. And there you have it. This is my new goated PvP hunter build. If you've made it this far, a like, comment, and subscribe would be much appreciated, and it would go a long way. We are absolutely blown away with the response we've had on our videos so far, so thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts. These videos do take a very long time to craft and put together. If you have any further amends to this build, or if you think of any weapons that would help this build excel even further, please let us know in the comments below. I know Destiny is a little bit stale at the moment, but hopefully with the new episode around the corner, that will inject some life back into the game. This has been Graph for Good Soup.